Hi, everybody, and welcome back. This is yours truly, B9400, Ben Discusses History, your host. Today, we're going to talk about Civil War massacres, particularly those that were carried out by the Confederate Rebellion. The Lawrence, Kansas massacre, also known as Quantrill's Raid, occurred on the 21st of August, 1863, in Lawrence, Kansas, in the Midwest, and stands as one of the most notorious acts of violence against civilians during the Civil War, which lasted from 1861 until 1865. Lawrence, Kansas was a stronghold of Free State and abolitionist sentiment and had long been a target for pro-Confederate guerrillas from the neighboring Show-Me State of Missouri. The region along the Kansas-Missouri border was already engulfed in irregular warfare marked by reprisals, raids, and personal vendettas. Tensions escalated after the collapse of a Union jail in Kansas City earlier in 1863, which killed several female family members of Confederate guerrillas, an event guerrilla leaders blamed on Union authorities. The subsequent attack upon Lawrence was led by a man going by the name of William Clark Quantrill, commanding approximately 400 Confederate guerrillas, often referred to as Quantrill's Raiders. At dawn, the force entered Lawrence and systematically attacked the town. Key features of this massacre included the targeting of male civilians, particularly those who were considered to be of military age at the time. Subsequent summary executions were carried out in private homes as well as in the various public streets. Widespread acts of arsons were committed, destroying much of the town's business district, subsequently turning it to ash and soot. And by the end of the raid, approximately around 150 men and boys were declared dead. Official estimates and figures vary from around 130 to as high as over 180. Along with more than 25% of the town's buildings were burnt to the ground, turned to ash, and overall, the town was left economically and psychologically completely and utterly devastated in every way, shape, and form imaginable. The notable participants in this unfortunate dark moment in the history of our nation are a man by the name of Bloody Bill Anderson and the infamous brothers Frank and Jesse James. It has never been confirmed or denied that the brothers participated in this dark moment in the history of our nation, along with a man by the name of Cole Younger. The aftermath and significance of the Lawrence Massacre only intensified the Union Federal resolve to suppress guerrilla activity. In response, Union General Thomas Ewing, Jr. issued General Order No. 11, forcefully depopulating large areas of western Missouri suspected of aiding guerrillas, a controversial policy that displaced thousands of civilians. Historically, this massacre is significant because it exemplifies the brutality of guerrilla warfare during the Civil War, and it also underscores how the conflict blurred lines between combatants and civilians. It also remains one of the most deadliest attacks committed upon a civilian population in American history prior to the 20th century. Today, the Lawrence, Kansas massacre is remembered as a stark reminder of how ideological conflict and irregular warfare can escalate into mass violence against non-combatants in this instance. The Fort Pillow, Arkansas massacre took place on the 12th of April, 1864, and was one of the most controversial and racially charged incidents of the whole entire Civil War, which lasted from 1861 until 1865. Fort Pillow was located on the Mississippi River within western Tennessee, the volunteer state, and it was guarded by a Union garrison that approximately consisted of 600 men, and roughly half of these men were U.S. colored troops, primarily from the 6th U.S. Colored Heavy Artillery. The remainder were white Union soldiers from the 13th Tennessee Cavalry Unit, whereas the Confederate attackers, the aggressors, whatever you want to call it, were a cavalry force under the command and direction of Major General Nathan Bedford Forrest of Tennessee, who would later go on to become a founding member of the infamous KKK Ku Klux Klan organization following the end of the Civil War the following year in the town of Pulaski, Tennessee. Anyway, the Forrest troops surrounded Fort Pillow and demanded its surrender, and the Union commander was a gentleman by the name of Lionel F. Booth, and unfortunately for him, he was killed in action during an earlier stage in the fighting, and his command was subsequently passed on over to a man by the name of Major William F. Bradford. And after several hours of combat, the Confederate aggressors unfortunately managed to overrun the fort in the afternoon, which subsequently resulted in its complete surrender and the laying down of arms under the white flag. And what followed is the core of this controversy. Large numbers of Union soldiers, especially that of African Americans, were killed after resistance had officially ceased under the white flag and they laid down their arms and gave up fighting. Many of these black men were shot, bayoneted, or killed while attempting to surrender or flee down the Mississippi riverbank. African American soldiers were targeted more harshly, reflecting Confederate policy and racial attitudes that viewed armed black men as illegitimate combatants rather than prisoners of war. On the Union side, approximately 300 out of about 600 men were killed. However, the death rate for African American soldiers was extraordinarily high, and as per official estimates and records, this exceeded as high as 60 to 70%. And whereas on the Confederate side, as low as 14 were killed in action, and fewer than just 100 were wounded. The aftermath investigation. Congress conducted a joint committee on the conduct of the war. The committee ultimately concluded that the killings constituted a massacre, particularly that of African American soldiers that had been nearly emancipated from slavery and bondage, whatever you want to call it. Forrest denied ordering or condoning a massacre, claiming his men continued firing because resistance persisted. However, with all of that being said, this claim has been widely disputed by various eyewitness accounts. The massacre subsequently became a rallying cry for Union federal forces, especially that of African American soldiers, who eventually coined the term "Remember Fort Pillow," which was frequently invoked thereafter, right up until the conclusion of the war the following year. It hardened the Union resolve and reinforced policies against exchanging prisoners with the Confederate rebellion, and the event underscored the brutal racial dimension of the war and the risks faced by black African American soldiers. While the true details of this dark moment in our nation's history are still debated to this day, the overwhelming scholarly census is of the view that Confederate rebel forces killed large numbers of already surrendered Union soldiers, primarily that of African American soldiers, after the battle was effectively decided in their favor, with the Union garrison who was defending the fort having already surrendered, presented the white flag, laid down their arms, etc., etc. Fort Pillow stands as a stark example of how racial issues intensified during the Civil War. The Poison Spring Massacre was a Civil War era atrocity that occurred on the 18th of April, 1864, in Coachita County, Arkansas, during the Red River Campaign. Union forces under Major General Frederick Steele were operating in southern Arkansas. A detachment of approximately 1,100 Union federal troops, including a large consignment of African American soldiers from the 1st Kansas Colored Infantry, was sent to guard a supply train near Poison Spring. Confederate forces numbering roughly 3,000 to 4,000 were commanded by Brigadier General John S. Marmaduke, Brigadier General Samuel B. Maxey, and Brigadier General Joseph O. Shelby. Importantly, the Confederate forces included Texas cavalry units and Choctaw Native American troops. The Confederacy attacked and overwhelmed the Union detachment. After the Union line collapsed, Confederate soldiers, particularly some Texas cavalrymen, killed many black Union soldiers after they had surrendered and laid down their arms, or were wounded in the process of the fighting. Of roughly 300 black Union soldiers, at least 114 of these men were killed or worse, executed at close range in front of multiple witnesses. White Union soldiers were more often taken prisoner. Survivors later testified that wounded black soldiers were either shot, bayoneted, or scalped. The significance of this event is widely regarded as a war crime and is comparable to that of the Fort Pillow, Tennessee massacre that occurred on the 12th of April, 1864, which, as a matter of fact, was just days earlier prior to this horrific event in the history of our nation. It reinforced Confederate policy and practice, if not always informal orders of refusing to treat black Union soldiers as legitimate combatants. News of the massacre intensified Northern resolve to continue using black soldiers and hardened attitudes towards the Confederate rebellion. The Poison Spring Massacre is a stark example of the racial brutality that characterized parts of the Civil War and illustrates the dangers faced by mostly African American soldiers fighting for the Union cause. It remains less well known than the Fort Pillow, Tennessee, but it is equally important in understanding the war's racial and moral dimensions. The Plymouth Massacre in North Carolina, the first in flight, refers to events that followed the Confederate capture of Plymouth, North Carolina in April of 1864, during the American Civil War that lasted from 1861 until 1865. It is closely associated with the actions of Confederate forces under the direction of Major General Robert F. Hoke, with Brigadier General, later upgraded to Lieutenant General Nathan Bedford Forrest of Tennessee, indirectly connected through command structure but not present on the ground at the time. Plymouth, North Carolina was a strategically important Union-held town on the Roanoke River, and from the 17th of April until the 20th of April, 1864 that year, Confederate forces laid siege to the town. The Confederates employed the ironclad CSS Albemarle, which proved decisive, in defeating Union naval support. And on the 20th of April, 1864, Union forces officially surrendered. The garrison included a significant number of U.S. colored troops, black Union soldiers who were especially vulnerable under Confederate policy. After the surrender, numerous black Union soldiers were killed, either during the final assault or after having been captured and surrendered, waving the white flag of surrender and officially laying down their arms and ceasing all hostilities, however you wish to phrase it. Confederate soldiers shot, bayoneted, or otherwise executed black soldiers rather than taking them prisoners, whereas on the other hand, white Union soldiers were generally taken prisoners, unlike their black counterparts, highlighting the racially targeted nature of the violence. Contemporary Union reports and later historians describe these killings as a massacre, not simply battlefield casualties. At the time, the Confederacy officially refused to recognize black soldiers as legitimate combatants. Black Union soldiers were often either executed, enslaved, or returned to bondage rather than treated as prisoners of war. Responsibility and controversy. General Hoke did not issue written orders calling for executions. However, he also failed to prevent or punish the killings, as with the Fort Pillow, Tennessee massacre in 1864. The Plymouth Massacre reflects how Confederate racial policy enabled atrocities even without explicit orders. The historical significance of the Plymouth Massacre is less well known than the Fort Pillow, Tennessee massacre, but is part of the same pattern of violence against African American Union soldiers in 1864. It reinforced Union resolve to continue the war and strengthen support for the enlistment of black soldiers. Today, it is studied as an example of war crimes driven by racial ideology during the Civil War period. The Centralia Massacre that took place in the Show Me State of Missouri in 1864 was a notorious Civil War-era guerrilla atrocity that occurred on the 27th of September, 1864, near the town of Centralia, Missouri. It is widely regarded as one of the most brutal episodes of irregular warfare in the trans-Mississippi Midwest. Missouri, the Show Me State, was a border state plagued by internal division and relentless guerrilla warfare throughout the Civil War that lasted from 1861 until 1865. Pro-Confederate guerrillas, commonly known as bushwhackers, operated independently of the Confederate Army, targeting Union federal troops, officials, and civilians. Union forces responded with harsh countermeasures, creating a cycle of reprisals, and by late 1864, Confederate fortunes were collapsing east of the Mississippi River, but guerrilla violence in Missouri intensified. The massacre, specifically that of the train incident, on the morning of September 27, 1864, a band of approximately 80 guerrillas led by William T. Bloody Bill Anderson stopped a train at Centralia. Among the passengers were 22 unarmed Union soldiers returning home on furlough. The soldiers were forced off of the train. They were stripped of uniforms and valuables, and all 22 of them were subsequently executed, and some were mutilated. Afterwards, the guerrillas burned the train and subsequently withdrew into the countryside. Later that day, Major A.V.E. Johnston led approximately 150 Union cavalrymen in pursuit. Johnston made a critical error by pursuing without adequate reconnaissance, ordering his men to dismount, leaving them vulnerable, and Anderson's guerrillas, many armed with multiple revolvers, launched a devastating cavalry charge, and the outcome of that resulted in 20 Union Federal soldiers dead. Many of these men were either shot, scalped, or mutilated right there on the spot in broad daylight, and the guerrilla casualties were minimal, which really shouldn't come as a surprise. And then the battlefield afterwards was described as horrific, with widespread mutilation of Union Federal dead. And key participants in this battle were William T. Bloody Bill Anderson, the guerrilla leader who was infamous for his use of brutality, and the infamous outlaw brothers Jesse and Frank James. It's still to this day widely disputed whether they actually participated or not. And the significance of this battle following the aftermath was the Centralia massacre shocked public opinion back in the Union North, and it helped reinforce perceptions of Confederate rebel guerrillas as domestic terrorists rather than that of soldiers fighting within the ranks of an opposing army, and subsequently justified through the eyes of the Union, that is, harsher anti-guerrilla policies. And it directly influenced post-war myth-making around figures like Jesse James and his brother Frank James. And the massacre remains a defining example how the Civil War in Missouri devolved into unrestrained personal violence, blurring the line between warfare and criminal atrocity. Thank you very much for tuning in. It's much appreciated. This has been your host, B9400, Ben Discusses History. Leave a comment down below. I love hearing what you have to say. Like the video and also subscribe to the channel.